Welcome to Compelling Topics, the only channel dedicated to the perspective of leading researchers from the Italian independent scene. Let's turn your minds on. In this episode of Saturday Classic, researcher Nicola Bizzi explores one of the most intriguing and controversial topics in alternative historical research, the possibility of vast ancient underground worlds beneath Europe. Drawing on chronicles, legends, and archival documents, Bizzi recounts stories of mysterious tunnels, forgotten technologies, alleged contacts with subterranean civilizations, and the role that religious authorities may have played in sealing these hidden realms. From medieval synods and noble archives to strange celestial phenomena witnessed in the skies of Renaissance Europe, the narrative weaves together history, myth, and speculation. Are these merely legends, or traces of a forgotten chapter of human history? Historian Nicola Bizzi explains that this episode is particularly important because it presents material that has never before been published in Italy, information that could potentially provide answers to extremely uncomfortable questions. Bizzi says that he has been studying history for many years, but especially what is often referred to as forbidden archaeology, a field of research that goes beyond the limits imposed by traditional academic scholarship and challenges established dogmas. After nearly 40 years of study, he states that he has come to the conclusion that an ancient historical reality exists that the system of power built over the past millennia has attempted to conceal. According to him, an important part of humanity's past, its roots and identity, is deliberately ignored or erased. He observes that people often claim that certain discoveries are censored, but rarely stop to ask why such censorship exists in the first place. Throughout his career as a historian, writer, and publisher, Bizzi explains that he has always paid close attention to archaeological discoveries capable of challenging the dominant paradigm. For this reason, he says, he has given space to numerous authors who propose alternative interpretations of the past. He particularly recalls publishing the book La Civiltà I Poggia in 2021, written by archaeologist Alessandro Marcan, who passed away in that same year. Bizzi describes Marcan as a researcher with great intellectual openness, far removed from the rigid frameworks of traditional academic archaeology. In the 1990s, Bizzi recounts, he explored many areas of northern Lazio together with Marcan and the scholar Giovanni Fio in search of mysterious underground cavities. During these explorations, they observed that many hypogean structures found in Etruscan territories had been reused by the Etruscans for ritual and religious purposes. However, according to their research, many of these cavities already existed before the arrival of the Etruscans. Bizzi explains that Marcan was among the first researchers in Europe to argue, based on laboratory analyses and studies of rock surfaces, that many of these tunnels were not excavated with manual tools such as pickaxes. Instead, the marks visible on the walls appear to indicate the use of technologies similar to modern mechanical cutters used today to dig railway or highway tunnels. Markin also proposed several chronological hypotheses, suggesting that some of these tunnels might be between 40,000 and 50,000 years old. According to Bizzi, such datings raise enormous questions. If subterranean structures that ancient truly exist and were created with advanced technology, then one must ask who was present on Earth tens of thousands of years ago and what kind of civilization might have possessed such knowledge. Bizzi hypothesizes that these structures may have been built as underground refuges. This leads him to ask what kind of danger might have driven a civilization to seek protection beneath the Earth's surface. In his view, our planet is subject to cyclical cataclysmic events. Asteroid impacts, solar storms, energetic emissions from the galactic center, and other cosmic phenomena could periodically devastate the Earth's surface. Events of this kind, he argues, may have destroyed civilizations more than once throughout the planet's history. Humanity may be far older than history textbooks indicate. He refers to certain studies describing human remains similar to modern humans found in very ancient geological layers. According to these interpretations, the presence of humans on Earth could be far more remote than conventional chronology suggests. Some researchers have even hypothesized external interventions in humanity's genetic history, as suggested by Pietro Buffa, but Bizzi clarifies that this topic is not central to the discussion. The main point, he explains, is the widespread presence of mysterious underground structures across different continents. He recounts having personally visited many of them, from Anatolia to Cyprus. In the archaeological site of Paphos Archaeological Park, for example, he says he encountered enormous underground chambers with extremely high ceilings and perfectly smooth walls. From these chambers, stairways descend to lower levels, while other passages are completely buried and probably lead to even deeper sections. According to Bizzi, the fundamental question is what truly lies beneath these structures: simple archaeological remains, or something entirely different. Another example he cites concerns Bosnia and the alleged pyramids of Visoko, studied by Sam Osmanagic. Bizzi explains that long networks of underground tunnels have been identified in the area and that several kilometers of passages have already been explored. Within these tunnels, he says, researchers have reportedly found ceramic artifacts, inscriptions, and large worked stone blocks. Some radiocarbon analyses suggest that these tunnels could be around 30,000 years old. If such dates were confirmed, Bizzi argues, it would mean that an unknown and highly advanced civilization constructed monumental structures and vast underground networks in extremely remote times. He adds, a later civilization may have sealed part of these tunnels about 10,000 years ago. This raises another question. Why would someone decide to close off and isolate these structures? He does not have a definitive answer, but emphasizes that similar phenomena seem to appear in other parts of Europe as well. He refers in particular to the research conducted by archaeologist and anthropologist Heinrich Kusch, who together with his wife has studied for years an extensive network of underground tunnels in Austria. According to their research, thousands of small underground passages extend beneath much of Central Europe. Bizzi also connects these investigations to the Austrian town of Klosterneuburg, near Vienna, known for its ancient medieval monastery. In this context, he says, connections emerge with the history of the Catholic Church, with the Order of the Knights Templar, and with certain initiatory brotherhoods linked to European nobility. According to some traditions, these brotherhoods venerated mysterious black rocks, symbols that Bizzi believes also reappear in modern contexts. Research conducted over the past decades is revealing the existence of underground systems far more extensive and ancient than previously believed. Some hypotheses even suggest that these subterranean environments may have been used for long periods by communities that chose to live far from the Earth's surface. Nicola Bizzi explains that the hypogean cavities he discusses frequently appear in medieval chronicles. According to him, the populations of that era were fully aware of the existence of these underground structures. Their presence was so widespread that many of them were reused during the Roman period. During Roman times, Bizzi says, these cavities were frequented, adapted, and in some cases transformed into true subterranean temples dedicated to mystery cults. Architectural modifications were introduced to adapt the structures to their new religious functions. They were later reused again during the Middle Ages. Local populations sought refuge in them in various circumstances. Heretics persecuted by religious authorities hid there during persecutions, while civilians and fugitives also used them during sieges or armed conflicts. Bizzi argues that many of these underground structures, whose entrances were well known in the Middle Ages, continued to be used until relatively recent times, even reaching the Renaissance. However, he says that at a certain point something happened that changed this situation. He mentions, for example, the case of Stubach Farm in Austria, where there is reportedly an entrance to a vast network of hypogean cavities extending beneath the region. According to Bizzi, analyses conducted using carbon-14 dating and thermoluminescence suggest that the access tunnel to these structures dates back at least 11,000 years. This would mean that they are neither Roman nor medieval constructions, but much older structures, perhaps belonging to a previous cycle of civilization. The research of Heinrich Kusch and Ingrid Kusch focuses precisely on these structures. The scholars ask who could have excavated such complex tunnels more than 10,000 years ago. Analyses of the tunnel walls, Bizzi explains, appear to produce surprising results. There are no traces of pickaxes or other manual tools. According to Bizzi, the studies conducted by the Kusches suggest that a tunnel located in the area of Voral, also in Austria, may have been created using an unknown method capable of generating temperatures between 1,200 and 1,800 degrees Celsius. At such temperatures, the quartz material present in the rock would begin to liquefy. This leads Bizzi to hypothesize that whoever excavated these tunnels may have been capable of melting the rock and advancing through it by liquefying it, thereby achieving an extremely high drilling speed. He then mentions a curious discovery: a map found inside a hollow Renaissance-era cannonball, discovered in the attic of a monastery. The map, dating to the late 15th century, reportedly shows a detailed representation of the underground structures present in the area. This document would suggest that these tunnels were already well known in the 15th century and were still being visited. Bizzi continues by explaining that Heinrich Kusch and Ingrid Kusch do not limit themselves to field exploration. In addition to georadar surveys and direct study of the tunnels, they also conduct extensive archival research. It is precisely through these investigations, he says, that surprising documents have emerged. Some years earlier, while searching for rare texts, he came across a book titled Il Monte di Venere o Labirinto d'Amore, The Mountain of Venus, or The Labyrinth of Love, written by the Prussian aristocrat Alfred von Riemann, who served in the 19th century as ambassador to the Grand Duchy of Tuscany. Von Riemann, who had a strong interest in archaeology, myths, and traditions, recounts in this book a story connected to a legendary mountain known as the Venusberg. According to various medieval German chronicles, this mountain provided access to an underground world. One legend tells of a knight who enters the mountain and discovers a subterranean kingdom ruled by a goddess identified with Venus. In this world, the goddess presides over a court and governs a community of underground inhabitants. In the story, the goddess invites the knight to remain with her, but the man chooses to return to the surface. Before allowing him to leave, the goddess warns him that time flows differently in the underground world. While only a few months have passed for him, centuries have elapsed in the world above. Bizzi emphasizes that this tradition illustrates how deeply rooted the belief in inhabited underground worlds was in medieval German culture. According to the research of Heinrich and Ingrid Kusch, Austrian ecclesiastical documents recount very similar stories, but in a more concrete and documented form. Some medieval texts suggest that certain feudal families maintained privileged contacts with an underground world inhabited by a people led by a figure called the goddess Isis, a name that recalls the Egyptian goddess Isis. Certain noble families may have built their castles near the entrances of these underground cavities in order to maintain privileged access to such places. Bizzi notes that in antiquity temples and monasteries were not constructed randomly. Peoples such as the Greeks and the Romans, he explains, selected sacred locations according to principles of sacred geography, taking into account the energetic and geodetic characteristics of the land. The ancients were also aware of the existence of entrances to the underground world. The Romans referred to this realm as the mundus. The term originally indicated a ritual pit, but it could also refer to an actual subterranean world that, at certain times of the year, symbolically came into communication with the world of the living. Beneath the Earth's surface, there may exist a world about which modern humanity knows very little. Over the course of the planet's history, he states, numerous cycles of civilization may have succeeded one another. Some theories suggest that advanced civilizations may have existed hundreds of thousands of years ago, as certain alleged anomalous artifacts, known as out-of-place artifacts, might indicate. According to these interpretations, the civilization of Atlantis would not have been the first advanced civilization on Earth, but merely one of the most recent in a long succession of civilizations that have appeared throughout the planet's history. In many regions of Central Europe, there are numerous ancient mines. He recounts that in the 1990s, in one of the mines in the Dons region, at a depth of about 90 meters, an unusual object was reportedly discovered. A metal knob resembling those used to open doors or conduits. The object appears stylized and, according to Bizzi, it has not been possible to determine with certainty to which civilization it might belong. To support the idea that anomalous artifacts of this type truly exist, Bizzi cites the book Forbidden Archaeology by Michael Cremo, which reportedly collects numerous testimonies concerning alleged out-of-context artifacts. Researchers Heinrich Kusch and Ingrid Kusch then began searching for further answers in noble archives, monasteries, and other locations where ancient documents might be consulted. Not all archives, Bizzi notes, are easily accessible. In Italy, for example, there are reportedly hundreds of thousands of medieval handwritten documents that have never been officially studied and are not available to the public. From these archival investigations, Bizzi claims, emerges a strong interest on the part of the Knights Templar in certain underground structures and in what some traditions call the underworld, or the subterranean world. In some medieval documents, the name of a Templar knight appears, Hubertus Koch. According to these sources, he supposedly had direct contact with a figure known as the goddess Isis, regarded as the Lady of the Underworld. A particular Templar current associated with these accounts allegedly took the name Herren vom Schwarzenstein, meaning the Lords of the Black Rock. These stories also attracted the attention of the Nazi organization Ahnenerbe, a research institute founded within the Nazi Party in Germany and interested in archaeological themes and ancestral traditions. After the annexation of Austria into Germany during the Anschluss of 1938, some scholars connected with that environment reportedly conducted research in the archives of Austrian castles in an attempt to understand what might lie beneath the Alpine territory. According to Bizzi, the figure of the goddess Isis and her supposed connection with the Templars represents a surprising topic for those unfamiliar with these traditions. He recounts that the Templar knight Hubertus Koch supposedly participated in the military campaigns of the Fifth Crusade in the Holy Land. After the war, he is said to have traveled as far as the region of Mesopotamia, near the ancient city of Nineveh. It was in that area, according to the story, that the knight experienced a vision of the goddess Isis, who instructed him to return to the Austrian Alps and build a monastery on a specific mountain. This mountain would be the Untersberg, located near Salzburg, a place that has long been considered sacred since pre-Christian times. The story of Untersberg presents similarities to the legend of Venusberg found in medieval German tradition. Continuing the narrative, Bizzi states that some research on these topics is reportedly hindered or censored in Germany and Austria, partly because during the 1930s certain scholars associated with the Nazi regime showed interest in the same questions. According to the research of Heinrich and Ingrid Kusch, one of the most interesting archives is located in Vienna, particularly the archival complex known as the Fideikommiss Archive, which reportedly contains around 350,000 handwritten documents. Most of these materials can be consulted, but a portion remains classified. One of these documents refers to the noble Worm family, which according to the text allegedly maintained contacts with a mysterious subterranean people. The documents reportedly mention advanced technologies, crystals, and even commercial exchanges with these underground inhabitants. This people is referred to by various names, sometimes Uni, sometimes Kara or Kamen, a term that in Slavic languages means stone. Medieval texts reportedly describe these groups as guardians of the underground world. One of the cited documents mentions a certain Arbogast Friedrich, who during mining activities is said to have discovered an underground tunnel and established contact with these subterranean inhabitants. However, in 1580, such contacts were allegedly interrupted by order of the Catholic Church. Some chronicles even speak of an armed confrontation between people from the surface and inhabitants of the underground world. In memory of this alleged victory, a statue of a dragon was erected in the main square of Klagenfurt, a sculpture that was in fact created at the end of the 16th century. Bizzi then connects these stories to a series of celestial phenomena reported during the 16th century. One of the most famous cases concerns the 1566 celestial phenomenon over Basel, when many inhabitants of the Swiss city of Basel claimed to have seen numerous dark spheres crossing the sky and moving as if they were engaged in combat with one another. A similar phenomenon was reportedly observed a few years earlier during the 1561 celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg. Numerous engravings and chronicles from the period depict celestial objects of different shapes that appear to clash in the sky. Comparable phenomena were allegedly recorded in other European regions as well, from Austria to Sweden, and they reportedly left a strong impression on the populations who witnessed them. In light of these events, Bizzi claims that ecclesiastical authorities took a radical decision. During the Council of Basel, he argues, it was decided that the entrances to the underground world should be closed and sealed, not only in Central Europe, but also in territories of the Islamic world and the Byzantine Empire. Access points to such structures were primarily known to certain noble families and power groups, who in the past had allegedly built castles and feudal estates close to these entrances. Bizzi states that numerous documents exist which would attest to decisions taken by ecclesiastical authorities regarding the closure of entrances to the underground world. He claims that many of these sources will be made public in the future. Among the examples he cites is a document preserved in a Franciscan convent in the Austrian region of Burgenland. According to Bizzi, the archive contains references to a diocesan synod held on October 11th and 12th, 1447, under the leadership of Bishop Johann II von Funfkirchen. In his interpretation, during that ecclesiastical assembly a decision was taken to close certain underground passages believed to be connected with the inner earth, or the underworld. The synod took place during the same years as the Council of Basel, the major church council held between 1431 and 1449 in the city of Basel. Bizzi argues that following the celestial phenomena reported in the 16th century above cities such as Basel and Nuremberg, the order to close subterranean entrances was reinforced and implemented with greater determination. Beginning around 1550 and over a period of approximately 16 years, the Catholic Church allegedly ordered the interruption of traditional contacts with the supposed peoples of the interior. Many known access points were reportedly destroyed or filled with enormous quantities of debris. Bizzi further claims that several ancient sites considered energetically significant were altered or destroyed. According to his interpretation, such places possessed particular geometric and structural characteristics that allowed them to perform specific energetic functions. The documents would also refer to advanced technologies attributed to the inhabitants of the underground world, called Unterwelt in Germanic traditions. These technologies allegedly included sonic methods capable of disintegrating stone or lifting large masses of rock. Bizzi maintains, the Church allegedly imposed upon the elites of the time the obligation to cease all contact with this subterranean world. To investigate the matter further, the Austrian researcher Heinrich Kusch, a scholar of underground cavities, reportedly identified hundreds of subterranean structures throughout Austria. Using instruments such as georadar, he conducted surveys at several sites. One of these sites is said to be located in the locality of Polstal, in the region of Styria. A castle once stood there belonging to the noble Ramming family, which according to local tradition supposedly had access to underground passages. Geophysical investigations reportedly revealed the presence of a vertical tunnel with a diameter of about 10 meters. Georadar could probe the cavity only to a depth of roughly 60 meters, but the tunnel appears to continue further below. During the period of the Counter-Reformation, particularly after the Council of Trent, many individuals accused of knowing about or using entrances to the underground world were allegedly persecuted by the Roman Inquisition and condemned on charges of heresy. The narrative then turns to the Austrian town of Klosterneuburg near Vienna. A vast network of underground galleries exists there, which over the years has attracted the interest of various organizations and institutions. Bizzi recounts the case of an Austrian biochemist, Arbo Wolfram Scherer von Ottenfels, who in the late 1990s began excavating in the cellars of his homes after receiving guidance from a librarian of the local monastery. Between 1998 and the following years, the man reportedly cleared approximately 1,200 square meters of underground galleries by removing thousands of tons of debris. However, when artifacts began to emerge and the case became widely known, municipal authorities intervened by imposing restrictions and halting the excavations. Following these events, the biochemist's two houses were suddenly removed from the list of protected historical buildings. Shortly afterward, purchase offers began arriving from numerous international actors. Among the organizations mentioned by Bizzi are religious institutions, multinational corporations, and companies such as Halliburton and Rio Tinto, along with interest reportedly coming from several European and Middle Eastern countries. The research conducted by Heinrich Kusch and Ingrid Kusch also focuses on the so-called 12 Apostles' Caves, a hypogean complex which, according to tradition, was already frequented in Roman times and later reused by early Christians. During explorations, underground chambers were identified whose walls were lined with stone masonry from Roman and medieval periods. However, beneath these structures, an even older layer reportedly emerges, composed of megalithic blocks about 1 meter on each side, made from a material similar to concrete. Analyses conducted at Lomonosov Moscow State University using thermoluminescence reportedly suggested an age of about 8,500 years for some of these structures. At deeper levels, mysterious metallic objects were allegedly found, along with supposed glass lamps, and an artifact interpreted as an electric battery similar to the Baghdad battery, but considered by Bizzi to be even older. Artifacts and figurines similar to those of the Vinna culture, a Neolithic civilization that developed in the Balkans between the 7th and 3rd millennia BCE, were also reportedly discovered. Some of these objects, according to the analyses cited by Bizzi, appear to be much older. One metallic artifact was reportedly coated in cadmium, a chemical element officially discovered only in 1817. These findings raise questions about why, in past centuries, religious authorities might have ordered vast underground networks to be flooded and sealed, even diverting the course of rivers to prevent access. Bizzi concludes by arguing that the supposed underground systems discovered in Austria would represent only a small part of a global network of tunnels. From this perspective, many questions remain unanswered. Who the inhabitants of the underground world might be, what technologies they might possess, and what relationship they could have with certain unidentified aerial phenomena. If documents truly exist describing the systematic closure of entrances to the subterranean world after the Council of Basel, Bizzi ultimately asks, why would such a radical decision have been taken? This concludes today's Saturday Classic with Nicola Bizzi. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode of Saturday Classic.
I went to